there are countries close to Ukraine, close to Russia, who do understand what's happening. And then you have countries far away from Russia who say, this will never happen. They will never attack us. To put it very simply, what we need is leadership.
Hi, this is Fornusek from the Kyiv Independent, reporting here from the Munich Security Conference. The event is taking place in a tense atmosphere after top US officials cast doubt not only on America's readiness to ensure Europe's security, but also to help Ukraine achieve a favorable peace. This and much more we will be discussing with Lithuania's former Foreign Minister, Gabrielius Landsbergis. What's your reaction to recent statements by top US officials that Ukraine might not be able to join NATO, that it will not be able to return to pre-2014 borders before negotiations even began?
Well, it's giving all the leverage to Putin and basically declaring that everything that he wanted to achieve with his war against Ukraine, he might have it. So it's understandable that for many Ukrainians and for many of those who support Ukraine, it sounds like a betrayal. But some of the statements were contradicted just recently again. So it is indeed very confusing. I just hope that Putin is as confused as we are.
We have Presidents Trump and Putin planning to meet. What can European countries do to make sure that Europe and Ukraine are not left out of the negotiations process?
You see the way that it might happen, and there's very little that we can do so it doesn't happen. Putin can meet Trump. They will arrange, they will meet, they will talk, they will call it peace negotiations, and they will declare something. But it doesn't necessarily need to change the reality on the ground. From Putin's perspective, it definitely won't. I don't think that he will stop for any reason. He will put the blame on Ukrainians, on Europeans. Trump might do the same thing. So I think that we have to prepare what's after. And in this, my only hope is that, as it is now absolute and horrible cliche, that Europe wakes up. Because if it doesn't wake up, we might have to declare it dead. So this is, if there's ever a last warning, this is now. And there are things that Europe can do, honestly. We pride ourselves with, huge economy, 450 million people. Russia is just the size of Spain, right? So there are so many, words and metaphors that we've used in the past. So we have to put something on the table. We have the ability to support Ukraine militarily. We can integrate Ukraine into European Union. This is one of the instruments that Europe used in the past. It's extremely effective. And if we take it very seriously, we can do that very, very fast. To help Ukraine, I'm not saying, cutting corners, but basically just guiding through the process so that, that it is clear that this is it. That if Russia decides to attack again, it attacks a country of European Union. And that as well, changes the perception. We can arm Ukraine, we can arm ourselves, we can do many things.
So you think that even membership in the EU can work as some sort of security guarantee for Ukraine?
Yeah, indeed. Or at least deterrence, probably. President Macron mentioned that a couple of years ago, even a while ago, where he said that if Russian troops advance, they might encounter French troops in Odessa. Many in Europe freaked out. It's not needed yet. Maybe we can talk about this later and in different format. I think again, this is the time to talk about this. Let's put European troops in Ukraine, promise to fight alongside Ukrainians in case of another attack, and it will also work as deterrent. This will bring us respect, not just from Ukraine, but also from countries like United States and China and others.
One big topic of Munich conference last year was Trump proofing the Western aid for Ukraine, that is ensuring that even if Donald Trump is elected, support for Ukraine will continue. A year later, we are here. Trump is in the office. Do you think that these efforts at Trump proofing were successful? Did they achieve something?
No, I don't think so. It's like I remember, all the exercises before COVID hit. exercises of how we vaccinate thousands of people and how we do this and how we do that, how do we contain the pandemic. In every single country there were things like that. And then when the real pandemic hit, nobody was prepared. We had to invent all the rules, write all the rule books, everything, and start from the scratch. So I think, and the same was, with Russia's full-scale invasion. Americans declared about a half year before that, Russians are going to attack. And they said, let's prepare. And we started preparing. when Russians attacked, we suddenly, oh, okay, so this is what it means. Yeah, it's quite a different reality. So I'm not surprised. I mean, probably this is the feature of democracy, the way that it functions, right? We're very short-termed. In most cases, we look at the next election rather than at the next decade. So when somebody says that, oh, there is trouble ahead, we're not that worried about it because we have, more troubles right now that we need to take care of. And even my country, we had discussion, like what should we do in case Trump is elected, in case he decides to rethink his stance on Europe and other things. And it's a very, very difficult conversation, and I don't think that we have prepared.
So why does it keep making these mistakes when we look at the past 3 years of full-scale invasion? Why hasn't it learned its lesson? And do you think it's too late now to turn the ship around?
I don't know. I mean, inside Europe, the problem is that we see problems of situation very differently. There are countries close to Ukraine, close to Russia, who do understand what's happening. We call them Eastern flank countries. You can add Northern Europe to this group, which also kind of gets the situation. And then you have a lot of other countries who, for them to imagine Russian attack on Brussels, I mean, this will never happen, right? And for them, that's the main concern. That's why you would have to argue whether, you still need 2% of GDP to defense. When Poland is spending 4%, Lithuania is spending 3.7%, Estonia almost 4%, and then you have countries far away from Russia who say, this will never happen, they will never attack us. And this is the division. What is needed, to put it very simply, I mean, what we need is leadership. We need somebody who would be risking to pay a price, political price, for the solutions that are needed for Europe. And that, that we call it, that would have skin in the game. So it's not a, bureaucrat, who doesn't really care, but a person who says, okay, if we don't do this, we are doomed. And if we do this, yes, we might also lose, and I will lose personally, but this is the price I'm willing to pay. So this is, what I think. Is it not too late? I don't think it's too late.
One of the big topics that's being discussed right now are security guarantees for Ukraine. Mm-hmm. For long, Ukraine was saying that membership in NATO is the only effective one, but this seems now increasingly unlikely in the light of recent statements. What would you consider as the most feasible and effective security guarantee for Ukraine?
I still insist that NATO is the most effective because you have United States in it. You have a clear commitment to fight alongside, right? Because it's at the core of Washington Treaty. And even in theory, NATO works as a deterrent because there's enough ambiguity in the way that NATO is structured that you don't want to test it. Russians might be one day brave enough to test it, but not yet. And that, so if NATO guarantees would be provided now, I think that Ukraine would be safer immediately. That is completely off the table, so then we need US security guarantees. That would be, a second tier. Basically, it's the same thing, right, that the US would fight alongside its allies who would be willing to join the group, and Ukraine, in case there is another attack. If that doesn't work well, then it's European. And the question is whether that would be possible. If that doesn't happen, then we're in a very dangerous scenario where Ukraine is actually left alone to fight off anything that might come its way. And it would be very similar to Minsk agreements. Ceasefire, no security guarantees, and just a preparation for next phase.
Hi, I hope you enjoyed this interview. If you want to see more, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to support our work, consider joining our community at kyivindependent.com/membership.